Hey guys! So today I am using the Jaclyn Hill Bling Boss palette, which is the purple one. I just wanted to do a very smoky eye, and I wanted the Berry Treasure shade to be the kind of star of the show. So I'm going to have more of an in-depth review on this since in my previous video I only used a couple shades from this, but now I'm using a few more. And I definitely have some feelings on it, so if you're interested in this look and the review, then let's go. First up, I'm priming my eyes just with a little bit of concealer. For the most part, you can use any concealer. I prefer one that will dry down by itself because you're less likely to get creases that way. You can use a primer without pigment too if you want. That's totally up to you. This is just what I have been doing lately. So now I'm taking a dense brush. I'm taking a dense flat brush. It's like a little bit fluffy on the top. This is so it helps pick up the pigment. If you try to use a brush like this, it's not going to pick up the pigment. This is more for liquids. So if you can see, this one's fluffier and it will be able to pick up product more. So the first shade I'm going in with is the shade Mystic, which a lot of people are having trouble with. So I'm just going to get some on my brush and I'm going to pack it on to my crease. I did notice that the shade is a little bit patchy, but the good thing about this is you can go on top of it and it covers it up. Like, a very well-known patchy palette is the Subculture palette from Anastasia, and that one, no matter what you do, the patches kind of don't go away. But this one, you're able to put color on top and it just builds up fine. So I don't mind having to work a little bit harder because I do love these colors. Now I'm going in with a small crease brush. It's fluffy but not overly fluffy, like something like this. It's a little bit smaller so I don't go crazy and blow out the smoky eye too far, although I do like a pretty smoky eye. So now I'm going in with the shade Rockstar. And I'm just going to blend out that color. I'm going kind of on top of it and a little bit over the edge. This is where I started to notice more of the patchiness. This shade itself isn't patchy, but I found it doesn't really, like the Mystic shade doesn't really blend out when I put a color on top of it. So I will be going back with the Mystic shade and having that shade do the blending. You'll see what I mean when I get to it. But I'm just very gently trying to blend over that edge, just so I have more of a transition. And I'm going to wing it out a bit. And I'm also going to take that shade and that brush and put it on my bottom lash line. I don't want to edit any of this out, so this is going to be a really long video. I just want to make sure you can see how much I had to work to blend out the Mystic shade. So as you can see, it's got like a harsh line where Mystic ends. So I'm going to take the brush I used for Mystic and kind of put it on the tip and very gently try and blend it out by adding a little more color. This seemed to work best for me. So as you can see, that kind of harsh line at the top is pretty much gone, and now I'm going to bring that shade along my lower lash line as well. Okay, and before I do my lid, I'm going to go in with the shade Hush Hush and very lightly smoke out the bottom and the side and a little bit up here, although I am going to go in with a highlight shade on my brow bone. So this is a fluffier brush than all the rest, so it's not going to put too much color down, but it will help blend it out nicely. And I'm kind of going right on top of the colors because this is big enough to go a little bit underneath. I'm not too concerned with how low I go because I do like a super smoky eye. And I'm bringing it out pretty far. So now you can take any shade that is close to your skin tone or a little bit lighter. I'm using the Poof shade from the Dark Magic palette and just a flat, not a flat, like a shader, a packing brush, and putting that on my brow bone and bringing it down. And I'm also going to bring it on the inner corner. Now I'm going in with that same flat brush from before and the Mystic shade and just covering the rest of my lid. This is going to act as a base for that Buried Treasure shade. Okay, so hopefully you can see the Buried Treasure shade didn't really pack on the shimmer the way I was expecting it to, and a lot of the shimmer kind of didn't stay where I wanted. I tried it wet, I tried it dry, and it still kind of did the same thing. If I wasn't just doing a look with this palette, then I would go in with like a shimmer, one of those glitters from Stila or something, just to add a little bit something. So I'm going in with my finger and that Buried Treasure shade, and I'm going to pack it on my lid. I do want to try this on a wet lid instead of just like a wet finger. I'm curious how that would work, so let me know if you try that. But then I went in and I sprayed it, and for some reason this kind of took away the shimmer, which doesn't make sense to me at all. So then I went back in and used my finger without spray. Okay. So now I'm going in with my Marc Jacobs highliner pencil and lining my waterline and my tightline. Okay, and I'm grabbing the Dark Magic palette again and taking the shade Temptress, which is that black shade, and I'm just going to push it against my lash line. Okay, now I'm going in with that shade I used. Now I'm going in with that brush I used for the shade Mystic to blend that out. I don't have any added product on. Okay, so I'm going to put some lashes and mascara on and then do a review. My lip color is Bianca, is it? From ColourPop. Not a fan. It's their satin lip. No, it's the Ultra Matte Lip. Super crusty looking, so keep that in mind. My thoughts on this palette. I do like it. I love the colors in it. I'm a little disappointed in this Buried Treasure shade because it's so beautiful. I wanted to like fully look like this, but I'm going to try and mess around with some different bases to see how it performs that way. The other shimmers in this palette were totally fine for me, aside from Bling Boss. This one right here, which, I don't know, it's just like a slight sheen to me. I wouldn't have called it Bling Bling. All of the mattes in this palette, aside from this Mystic shade, performed really nicely for me. Mystic, I was able to get to work. It does do what I wanted it to do. You just had to be a little more careful with it. But yeah, I know a lot of people are kind of iffy about these palettes. I definitely don't think they're as bad as a lot of people are saying. I was able to work with it fine. Like, I wasn't like, oh my god, I have to take my makeup off, this is awful. I was like, okay, just gotta be a little more careful. It worked. It looks pretty. It's pretty. It's a nice change from all of the warm tones. And I really think it's a nice palette. I would buy it. I would. If you're someone who's very aggressive blending shadows, you might have trouble with this. You probably have trouble with a lot of shadows if you're really aggressive, honestly. If you think about it, if you're pushing your brush down and then trying to blend, where you first put it down is going to have the most product, and then it's just going to look patchy because you push so hard that it's like it's in there and you're not going to be able to blend it out properly. But if you're gentle, it just very nicely blends out. You don't have dark spots and light spots, and you're able to build the color without it being patchy and all over the place. So for anyone who's a beginner and is like being really aggressive because they think that will help blend it out, it's the opposite. Hazel, stop! The opposite is true. The more gentle you are with the shadow, the easier it is to blend out. So try that out. It should help. I don't know, guys. $15, I would definitely get this palette. I would. If you like these type of colors, I would go for it. You can definitely get away with a lot of really wearable looks. You can just put this Hush shade in your crease, or one of the deeper shades depending on your skin tone, and a shimmer and be fine. Like, you can get some really wearable looks out of this, and you can do some really bold ones and some dark vampy ones. I am pleased. I really am. I'm going to swatch them again. I did do a video swatching it with the Dark Magic palette, but if you're only here for this one, then I will do the swatches again for you. So I'm going to go in with all the matte shades first. So we have Mystic, Rockstar, Sparks, and Hush Hush. Okay, so we have Mystic, Rockstar, Sparks, and Hush Hush. Stop crying! So Mystic and Sparks swatched the most patchy. I was able to get them to work when I've tried them, so I don't think it's a problem. Swatches don't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things unless you're trying to feel them. So feeling them, they actually feel quite nice. If you've tried any other Morphe products, they feel quite different in my opinion. All of the Morphe pre-made palettes that I've touched at Ulta, and then the one I made out of single shadows from Morphe, feel a lot more dry and hard pressed than the Jaclyn Hill collaborations do. So that's just my opinion. I would still go feel them for yourself, see if that's something you even like. Some people do prefer the hard pressed shadows. So now I'm going to go in with the shimmers. So we have Berry Treasure, Pizzazz, Ballsy, Gem, so we have Berry Treasure, Pizzazz, Ballsy, and Gem. So we also have Glitz and Glam and Bling Bling. So here is Glitz and Glam and Bling Bling. The shimmers are far more buttery and pigmented, which is common with most shadow formulas. I would compare them to the Makeup Geek foiled shadows, most of the shimmers. Like I said, this Bling Bling shadow really didn't do much for me. It's like a sheen more than a shimmer. This one is really pretty. This is Glitz and Glam. This one is Ballsy, which is probably one of my favorites. It's like a really pretty duotone. Pizzazz, I'm kind of over this color. It's like a cranberry. Doesn't have a lot of sparkle to it. And then this is Berry Treasure, which is unfortunate because it looks so beautiful in the pan, but it really just shows up like a dark brown burgundy without the shimmer. So that's like the only disappointment. I would probably put like Ballsy on top. Let's do that right now. I'm going to put a little Ballsy on top. Yeah, so just a very light layer of Ballsy already kind of made that shimmer look a lot better, although it's not the tone that I was going for. Anyway, my overall thoughts are I really like this palette, and mine has been great. There are little things that you have to work with, but that's true with most palettes. So yeah, I'm a big fan of it, and I'm not going to return it. I'm going to keep using it and creating a lot of looks with it. Hopefully you guys got a good palette too, and if you like the colors, of course. So yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day.